Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the Knick Season 1, Episode 9, The Golden Lotus. And this episode was amazing. I was really looking forward to this episode because especially the way last week's episode ended, with John going through, his withdrawal and him going through that, and this episode continued that. This episode, finally showed that John, really cannot go back to the Knick, and it was definitely a very good episode. By far best episode of the season. The finale's next week, and I can't wait to see what happens in that finale because everything that happened in this episode was amazing. I loved it. I thought just everything was really, really great. And let's just get to it because overall I thought it was just such an amazing episode. So we find out basically in the beginning of the episode, if you remember, John couldn't perform that surgery because he was just in too bad of a condition because of his withdrawal. And it's gotten to the point where John has broken into a pharmacy to steal cocaine, and that was just like really big. I was not expecting John to go as far as he was. I mean, it kind of makes sense because if you think about it, most of his surgeries didn't really work till he took that, you know, most of surgeries didn't really work till he used the cocaine. So, he's kind of is in need of cocaine right now, so it makes sense why exactly he did that, but I didn't expect him to go as far as he did, and I thought that was a perfect way to start the episode. And basically, he's caught, and Captain Robinson and Barrow are called in to bribe the officer in charge. And, basically, what ends up happening is they find him there, and they're saying, do you need a ride home? Can we do anything for you? And basically, he has now racked up so many bad behavior points that basically Barrow looks positively saintly in comparison. He doesn't need... Barrow didn't even seem that bad in this episode because of what happened to John. John's up landing in jail, and, basically Barrow sent him to the rescue. Captain Robertson money to rescue, but still, Barrow shows up at the police station with Cornelia's dad to attend to the situation, and Captain Robertson offers him, the police, a trade. He'll convince the owner of the pharmacy to drop the complaint if the officer will accept some cash in exchange of his understanding that the matter is settled. So basically, what happens is Robinson lays down another bill, and we know those aren't, basically he says something for the roundsman who apprehended him, and Barrow even taps his underworld connections to get John his fix before the entire hospital implodes from the scandal. So we can see that, they're story in the paper all about this, and the entire hospital had no idea that John was going through this. And they start to put the pieces together about John, and they're really concerned about him and everything. So basically, Robertson says, look, he says to Barrow, look, I don't care what's happening. You got to help John with this. We can't have him in this condition because John's the head doctor. They can't have John as the, in this position. And basically, he has to help him with this. He has no choice but to help him. And I thought that was definitely very big what happened there. And basically, he needs to help him. He needs to do what he can to get him, get him to a hospital, maybe take him to rehab. I thought he was going to take him to rehab, but that's not what happened. And meanwhile, John and Lucy are going through a lot in this episode. Definitely John and Lucy are going through a lot. Lucy goes to John. She's very concerned about him. And basically, she says to him, I had no idea this was happening to you. And she's really upset. And he tells her one thing he needs from her is to get him cocaine. That's what he needs. She needs him to get him cocaine. Because if she doesn't, he just needs that cocaine because he needs it. So he will, be able to work again. So basically, that's what she needs to do. So then Barrow strikes a deal with Bunky. He says to Bunky how he needs this money and everything. And basically, what ends up happening there is that with what happened with, I'm trying to remember what happened exactly. Bunky, tells him, oh, I'll give this to you and everything. Bunky actually had an idea that John was going through this, and he says to Barrow, how did you have no idea? It was interesting to see that scene. So he offers a deal with Bunky, and, yeah, so that happens and everything. So basically, after this, Lucy, again, she really wants to help John and everything. So we see a lot of Lucy really trying to help John, doing the best she can to help him. And then we see a very interesting thing with Cornelia, which I thought this was very well done in my opinion. I really enjoyed this scene. I thought it was definitely a really good scene and a really good twist in my opinion. We find out Cornelia's, was talking to Algernon. She says, look, I need to talk to you immediately. He can tell right away that she is 3 weeks late of her period. She hasn't had her period. She's 3 weeks late. And basically, she is now pregnant. So I thought that was a very good twist. I thought that was very well done. And she doesn't want to, Algernon's very happy about this and everything, but Cornelia doesn't want this baby. She wants him to help her get rid of it, basically. And I thought that was very, very interesting what happened there. I wasn't expecting that, but I thought that was interesting, definitely. So after this happens, he ends up Algernon ends up in an encounter with Galinger, and he stops Algernon in the hall and starts giving him a very hard time about changing the treatment he prescribed for a patient who ingested a sanitized tapeworm to slim her figure. And just as things are about to get really bad between two of them, which we know it would because, they've had these fights before, basically we see Eleanor, and we see her with this baby carriage, and this was a creepy scene, I gotta say. This was creepily done. Like, the way they did it, I really like the tone of the scene, because it was very creepy done. She walks into the hospital with this carriage, I'm like, okay, obviously the baby's in that carriage, but what is she doing at the hospital? So he looks in, and he sees that the body of the child he brought home inside is dead. And Eleanor says, like, oh, darling, I was so concerned about this baby, so I drowned him in a river, and I drowned him in the bathtub, and I was just like, holy shit, this woman is crazy. Like, I did not expect Eleanor to go as far as she did. Like, I was definitely not expecting that. That was definitely very surprising, and a fantastic twist, in my opinion. I thought that was amazingly done, and just, wow, that was such a good twist. I love that twist. I thought that was very well done, and I really, really enjoyed that. So, basically now, now it's come to a decision of what he actually wants to do to her. So, I thought that was definitely really big. So after this happens, we see Lucy goes back to John with what we think is cocaine. It turns out, though, what he thought was cocaine, Bunky actually gave Barrow salt water. That was, like, seriously, Bunky, like, that was just, like, not nice. That was not a good thing at all. He gives her salt water and everything, and I honestly felt bad for John, because I'm like, okay, now his addiction's gonna get even worse. And so because of this happening, Lucy decides to go to, the opium den, John's opium den, and obliges Pingu's offer of cash and opium in exchange for the use of her dainty foot. Basically, she will have sex with him if he does this for her, and she delivers the drugs to John, and she tells him she sold her bicycle to get it. So that was definitely really interesting what happened there. So she stands to leave, and he tells her she has a dainty, which is called a golden lotus. That's why this episode is called the golden lotus, because her foot is a golden lotus in Chinese, and he offers to write down for her, but then he offers her opium and $100, which will put her dainty foot in his mouth while they have sex, which was definitely very interesting. So, in the meantime, John is very, very desperate. He has gone through just drastic measures. He is, going crazy at this point. Like, I gotta say, Clive Owen's performance this episode, I thought it was really good in the last one. This is by far his best performance on the show. How desperate he was with the relapse and everything, not relapse, but, with him going through withdrawal, I thought was a very good storyline, and I personally just really, really enjoyed it. I thought Clive Owen was fantastic in this, episode. Even better in this episode. Just amazing acting. So, he's going through, like, old Coca-Cola bottles, hoping to find residue contain cocaine, and he's not finding really anything. So, Lucy shows up with lamb chops and a few grains of opium. She confesses that she got it from Pingwu, and he says as long as you didn't have to put your golden lotus in his mouth to pay for it, which she did. He smokes the drug and how she paid for it, and she says she sold her bicycle. She wheels it into her apartment, and in the very next scene stuffs her $100 into a book. And basically then in Barrow's office, he tells Cleary that he's failed at horse trading with the army for drugs. Cleary leaves, and Barrow invites Lucy in. And she reports that the drugs Barrow provided were salt water, and he asks if she speaks German. And the opium obviously didn't last long, because John then goes back to the salesman, and he's very desperate at this point, just really, really desperate. So, he goes to the salesman Luff. Luff had offered him the endorsement deal, but he says, Luff basically says, oh, that ship has sailed, as he says it. That's basically what he says, that ship had sailed. And he offers to put his name into a health product, but basically, the ship has sailed and everything, so he's not going to be able to, he asks for a loan against a hypothetical future deal, and threatens to go to the competition, but the guy says no, because the moldy rogue informs him that they won't help him either, because he doesn't have the look of a healthy, vitally, and trustworthiness, so he then kicks John out, which I thought was definitely really big. I was not expecting that. Like, that was really intense. So, again, John is very desperate at this point, just really desperate. So, Cornelia then undresses in Algernon's downstairs clinic because she really wants him to perform an abortion on her. Oh, also, before this happened, Cornelia and Sister Harriet had this very interesting conversation about Eleanor being sent to an insane asylum. I thought that scene was really well done, not much to say there, but basically, he stops by and he's very upset that Cornelia wants to do this. And he says, look, I can't kill my own child. And I like that Algernon really does want to be a father, but at the same time, he's not going to help her do this because that's not what he wants to do. So she asks what the alternatives are. She says, well, are there any alternatives? And he says that they can sail to Europe. He wants them to go to possibly sail to Europe. But she says there's no place on earth they could raise the child. And she begs to him to perform the procedure, but he can't perform it. So, basically, earlier, Cornelia sat in the orphanage steps with Sister Harriet, crying over her poor baby Grace. They discussed whether unbaptized babies are allowed into heaven, and Sister Harriet said she hopes that one day God in His infinite mercy will allow them in, and I thought that was definitely really interesting, because the question here is Sister Harriet going to perform this abortion service for Cornelia's answer, because she gave her $8, so the question is Sister Harriet, possibly going to help her with this? I don't know if she will, she might, but I honestly don't know. And then we see just a really, this scene was disturbing, like really disturbing. Galinger has decided to take Eleanor into an insane asylum, and I think that was the right thing to do. She's crazy. She needs to go to an insane asylum. So she's in a straitjacket administering the sedative himself, and it's just like, that scene was so intense. I was not expecting that. That was intense as it was. That was really intense. So Lucy overhears the German hospital has supplies of cocaine. So she decides to pose as a nurse there. She breaks in, steals an entire box filled with drugs, and she's caught and makes a run for it. She delivers the stolen goods to John, and she suggests that, that he apply to himself before sex, but he applies it to her instead. So, I thought that scene was very well done. I don't know what's going to happen in the next episode, but that's basically how the episode ended. And I gotta say, this episode was amazing. I loved it. I thought everything was fantastic in this episode. The acting was great. I loved everything that was going on. And the thing with this episode was, this was not like an action-packed episode, like, say, episode 7, but it was so good because of the way the acting was, because of the way the storylines went. The way they're dealing with withdrawal on the show is very realistic. I mean, this literally happens when someone goes through withdrawal. They want more and more and more of it because they're addicted. And I really hope John does something about his addiction. I don't think he will at this point. I really don't feel like John is going to do something about his addiction. I just feel like he's going to continue to be addicted to cocaine, and this does not seem like a show that's just going to make a happy ending. That does not seem like that kind of show. Plus, this show's renewed for season 2, so we know there's going to be a cliffhanger. So, let's talk about this episode. So, basically, John and Lucy, I feel like Lucy is going to get as addicted to cocaine as John is now that she's taken that cocaine. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen here. I think that she is going to, take that cocaine and she's going to get addicted, and both her and John are going to be addicted or something. Really, a relationship is not really a good thing at this point. It's not, because, again, I still feel the theory that Lucy is not really in love with John. She's in love with the drug, and now that she's getting more and more of the drug, I think she's going to get as addicted as John is. I think that's what that last scene was really trying to show. I don't know, but I think that's what that was personally trying to show. Algernon and Cornelia, I think Cornelia is getting an abortion from Sister Harriet. I don't know what's going to happen there. Now, she still needs to tell, I'm really hoping the finale, she tells her husband, look, I don't want to go to, I don't want to go to California with you. She doesn't want to go with him to San Francisco. I'm hoping she does tell him that, because it's going to be very interesting if, she tells him that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there if she does end up telling him that. I don't know if she will, but I guess we'll just have to see what ends up happening, because I think it's going to be very interesting when that happens. I definitely feel like she doesn't want to go, and I feel like now she actually has a reason not to. I'm not saying that she doesn't love Algernon. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that she needs to confront her husband that, hey, I don't want to go to San Francisco. She needs to tell him that. So, as far as her going to Europe with Algernon, I don't know if she's going to. We'll have to see what happens there. Eleanor, I expected her going insane asylum. I expected that, definitely. I do feel there's going to be a lot of tension between Everett and Algernon now. I definitely feel there's going to be tension between them. Barrow honestly was not that bad in this episode. I really feel like Barrow, really did want to help John, and he didn't. And I feel like now Barrow is going to get his revenge on Bunky. I don't know how, but I feel like he's going to. Personally, I don't know how he's going to, but I feel like he definitely is going to get his revenge on Bunky. Apparently the finale is about them wanting to, like, move the Knick. Maybe so John isn't near them, so he's not going to be able to perform, perform any sort of surgeries. By the way, there was no surgery in this episode, which was fine, because there didn't have to be. I definitely feel that Dr. Zinsberg is going to sort of be, like, a rival to the Knick, and that's going to be, like, the finale. I definitely feel like that's going to come. Cornelia and Algernon, I really felt bad for them, as I said. No Bertie in this episode at all. No Bertie at all. So I'm wondering if he's going to be in the next episode. I'm sure he's going to be, but no Bertie in this episode, which was surprising. But that's basically it for my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I thought this episode was amazing. Probably best episode of the season so far. I really loved it. Just really loved everything about this episode. What's going to happen in the finale? I'm really hyped up for the finale, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for either a movie review, because I probably am watching a movie today, or for my collab review of Doctor Who with the Kid of Awesome. You guys know, if you guys don't know, I am doing collab reviews for Doctor Who with the Kid of Awesome, so that will be up later today. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for one of those two things, so I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye. One last thing, guys, I do want to say. There are a couple things I actually did forget to say. Bunky, I actually feel Bunky is helping John. Now, the way I feel Bunky's helping John is because he knew he was addicted, so that's why he didn't give him cocaine, because he doesn't want to be addicted anymore. I feel Barrow just doesn't care. Barrow, we know, is just concerned about money. That's all he's ever been concerned about. Bunky, however, I think does care about John and wants him to get over his addiction so he can be a good surgeon and things like that. I think Bunky actually does care. My question is, do you think Barrow actually cares? I'm kind of wondering if, what's going to happen there. Maybe Bunky's going to be the one to stop his addiction. I don't know. My other question, I just thought of this. Why does Algernon want to go to France? Why specifically France? I don't know why. He told Cornelia, hey, we can go to France, but why specifically France? He's not from France, he's from Boston, so why does he want to go to France all of a sudden? Maybe that's away from, maybe that's because he's away from Galinger, who I definitely feel there's going to be a lot of tension between him and Galinger, because here's the thing. Galinger wanted to be Algernon, John's assistant. Here's the other thing. I feel John is just not going to be able to work at the Knick anymore. Maybe Algernon's going to take over, because I think that's going to be interesting if Algernon decides to take over. Or maybe they'll hire Dr. Zinsberg to work for the Knick. Maybe that's going to happen as well. I'm wondering if, maybe they'll hire Dr. Zinsberg, because I think that would be very interesting if that ends up happening, which I'm looking forward to seeing what definitely ends up happening there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really want to say. I'm just trying to think. Lucy apparently is going to get help from Bertie. The other thing is, Lucy and Bertie. Bertie has no idea about this relationship between her and John. Is she going to tell him? I'm wondering if she's actually going to tell him what's going to happen there. And Lucy put her job at risk now. She actually did put her job at risk because, she did imposter a nurse at that other hospital. So, she could end up getting in trouble for that as well. We'll have to see what happens. I definitely feel it's going to be a very intense finale. I'm really looking forward to the finale. But again, let me know what you guys are thinking of the finale. Sorry, guys, I just thought of this. That's why there are two parts to this. But I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for, which will be for a movie review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.